Jainism. Jainism is one of India's oldest spiritual traditions, often traced back to the sage Mahavira, though Jains believe it existed eternally through a line of enlightened teachers known as Tirthankaras. The core principle of Jainism is ahimsa, meaning non-violence in thought, word, and action, not just toward humans but toward every living being. Jains believe the universe is eternal and operates by its own natural laws without a creator god. Each soul, jiva, is inherently pure, but becomes trapped in the cycle of birth and death, samsara, through the accumulation of karma, a subtle matter that binds to the soul due to passions, desires, and harmful actions. Moksha is achieved by purifying the soul through ethical conduct, meditation, and self-discipline. The ideal path is summarized as the three jewels: right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. Monks and nuns practice extreme asceticism, renouncing possessions and desires, while lay followers live by vows of honesty, non-violence, and restraint. There are two main sects: Digambara, sky-clad, who practice nudity and strict asceticism, and Svetambara, white-clad, who wear white robes. Despite their differences, both aim for the same goal: the liberation of the soul from the bondage of karma. Jainism profoundly influenced Indian thought, inspiring figures like Mahatma Gandhi, who adopted its principle of nonviolence as a social and political force. Sikhism. Sikhism was founded in the 15th century by Guru Nanak Dev Ji in Punjab, India, during a time of deep religious division between Hindus and Muslims. Guru Nanak's message was revolutionary: that there is only one God, known as Ik Onkar, and that every human being, regardless of religion, caste, or gender, can connect directly with the divine through love, meditation, and righteous living. Sikhism rejects idol worship, rituals, and blind traditions. Instead, it focuses on Nam Simran, the constant remembrance of God's name, and Seva, selfless service to humanity. Guru Nanak taught that true spirituality is not about withdrawing from the world, but living honestly within it, earning a living through righteous means and sharing with others. After Guru Nanak, a line of 10 gurus expanded his teachings. The 10th Guru Gobind Singh established the Khalsa, a community of initiated Sikhs dedicated to truth, justice, and defense of the oppressed. He also declared the Guru Granth Sahib, the sacred scripture containing hymns of divine wisdom, as the eternal guru of all Sikhs. Sikh philosophy teaches equality, courage, humility, and devotion. Sikhs gather in temples called gurdwaras, where everyone, rich or poor, shares a free communal meal known as langar, a symbol of unity and service. Tantra. Tantra is one of the most misunderstood yet profoundly spiritual paths to ever emerge from India. Far from being just about rituals or sensuality, Tantra is a complete science of consciousness, a system designed to awaken the divine power hidden within every human being. The word Tantra comes from Sanskrit roots, meaning to weave or to expand. It views the entire universe as a divine fabric where everything, body, mind, and spirit, is interconnected. Instead of rejecting the material world like some ascetic traditions, Tantra teaches spiritual liberation through experience, not denial. At the heart of Tantra lies the concept of Shakti, the feminine creative energy of the cosmos, and Shiva, the pure consciousness that observes it. All of existence, according to Tantra, is the cosmic dance of these two forces. Enlightenment happens when they unite within a person, when awareness, Shiva, merges with energy, Shakti. Tantric practices include mantras, sacred sounds, yantras, mystical diagrams, mudras, symbolic gestures, and Kundalini yoga, which aims to awaken the serpent energy coiled at the base of the spine and channel it upward through the chakras. Unlike purely philosophical systems, Tantra embraces every aspect of life as sacred, even desire, emotion, and the senses, seeing them as doors to divine realization when approached with awareness. There are two main paths: the right-hand path, Dakshina Marga, which is symbolic and meditative, and the left-hand path, Vama Marga, which involves secret rituals meant to dissolve fear, shame, and duality. Kashmir Shaivism. Kashmir Shaivism is one of the most refined and non-dualistic spiritual philosophies to arise from India. It originated in the Kashmir Valley around the 8th to 9th century CE and offers a deeply experiential path to realizing that everything in existence is a manifestation of one universal consciousness, Shiva. Unlike many systems that separate spirit from matter, Kashmir Shaivism declares that the entire universe is divine. The world isn't an illusion to escape from, it's God in disguise, expressing itself through infinite forms. Every thought, every breath, every emotion is Shiva experiencing himself through creation. Central to this philosophy is the idea of spanda, meaning the cosmic vibration, the subtle pulsation of consciousness that gives rise to the entire universe. Everything that exists, from galaxies to atoms, is part of this living rhythm of divine energy. Kashmir Shaivism also emphasizes recognition, pratyabhijna, the realization that your individual self is not separate from the supreme self. Liberation doesn't require withdrawal from the world, but awakening to your true identity while fully living in it. Bhakti movement. The Bhakti movement was not just a religious reform, it was a spiritual uprising of the heart. Emerging in India between the 7th and 17th centuries, it broke down barriers of caste, language, and ritual, declaring that love for God is the highest path to liberation. Bhakti means devotion, but in its purest form, it's not about fear of God or blind worship. It's about an intimate personal relationship with the divine, one that transcends all social boundaries. The Bhakti saints taught that God lives in everyone, and that singing his name, serving others, and living with compassion were more sacred than any temple or scripture. Each region of India birthed its own saints and poets. Mirabai, the princess who sang to Krishna as her eternal lover; Kabir, the mystic weaver who saw no difference between Hindu and Muslim; Tulsidas, who retold the Ramayana through love; and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread divine ecstasy through chanting. They spoke in local languages, not Sanskrit, bringing spirituality out of the hands of priests and into the lives of ordinary people. Their poems and songs became hymns of awakening, urging the world to see that God can be found not in rituals but in love. The Bhakti movement gave rise to powerful traditions like Vaishnavism, Shaivism, and Sikhism, and deeply influenced India's culture, art, and philosophy. Nath tradition. The Nath tradition is an ancient Indian spiritual movement that blends Shaivism, yoga, and Tantra into a single mystical path of self-realization. It emerged around the 9th to 10th century CE, led by legendary yogis like Nath and his disciple Gorakhnath, who are often seen as semi-divine masters. The word Nath means Lord or Master, and followers called Nath yogis believe that through deep discipline, meditation, and control of vital energy prana, a person can awaken the divine power, kundalini, and attain immortality of consciousness. They reject rigid rituals and caste divisions, focusing instead on direct inner experience, realizing Shiva not as a distant god, but as the very consciousness within. Nath philosophy teaches that the human body itself is a temple, and through yogic mastery one can transcend the cycle of birth and death. Arya Samaj. The Arya Samaj is a Hindu reform movement founded in 1875 by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. Its goal was to purify Hinduism by returning to the original wisdom of the Vedas, the oldest sacred scriptures of India. Swami Dayananda believed that over time, superstition, idol worship, and ritualism had corrupted true spirituality. He taught that God is one, formless, and all-pervading, and that the Vedas already contain everything humanity needs: moral law, science, and spiritual truth. Lingayatism. Lingayatism, also known as Shaivism, is a powerful reform movement that began in 12th century Karnataka, led by the Saint Basavana. It was born as a reaction against caste inequality and empty rituals in mainstream Hinduism. Lingayats worship Shiva as the one supreme god, represented by the Ishtalinga, a small personal Shiva emblem worn on the body. This symbolizes the idea that God lives within every person, not just in temples or idols. The movement teaches equality of all people, men and women, rich and poor, and rejects caste, superstition, and blind tradition. Shakta philosophy. Shaktism is the Indian spiritual tradition that places the Divine Mother, Shakti, at the very center of the universe. In this worldview, the ultimate reality is not a male god, but cosmic feminine energy, the power that creates, sustains, and dissolves everything. Shakta philosophy teaches that the universe is not an illusion. It is Shakti in motion, dancing as nature, seasons, emotions, intelligence, and life itself. Every force we experience, creativity, destruction, love, fear, time, change, is simply a different face of the goddess. The core idea is Shiva is pure awareness. Shakti is the power that activates it. Without Shakti, even God cannot move. This path sees the Divine Mother in many forms: gentle, Lakshmi, Parvati; fierce, Kali, Durga; cosmic, Tripura Sundari; and maternal, Annapurna. Each form represents a different aspect of human experience and spiritual truth. Practitioners connect with Shakti through devotion, mantra, meditation, ritual, and honoring the sacred feminine within themselves. Strength, compassion, fearlessness, and emotional depth are seen as spiritual gifts from the goddess. Unlike other Indian philosophies that focus on renunciation, Shaktism embraces the fullness of life, teaching that everyday experiences, love, work, family, struggle, can all be transformed into paths toward liberation when seen as expressions of Shakti. Kapalika. The Kapalikas were one of ancient India's most mysterious and feared Shaiva sects, active from around the 5th to 13th century. Their name comes from the word Kapala, meaning skull, because they were believed to carry skull bowls, wear bone ornaments, and worship Shiva in his fiercest form, Bhairava, the lord of cremation grounds. Unlike mainstream Hindu spirituality, the Kapalikas followed a path built on extreme asceticism, deliberate taboo breaking, and confrontation with death. Their central belief was simple but intense. True liberation, moksha, comes only when a seeker destroys the ego completely, by facing everything society rejects and fears. To do this, Kapalika ascetics walked through cremation grounds, performed rituals at night, meditated beside burning corpses, and symbolically used human bones as reminders of impermanence. Some texts suggest they practiced ritual intoxication, trance states, and sacrifice, animal or symbolic, though historians debate how much of this was truth versus exaggeration by critics. Philosophically, the Kapalikas were rooted in Shaiva non-dualism mixed with radical Tantra. They believe Bhairava's energy flows through the ashes, the fire, and the dead, and the yogi who embraces these forces gains spiritual power, siddhi, and freedom from fear. Outsiders saw them as terrifying. Insiders saw them as warriors against illusion. The sect eventually faded, but their influence survived in later left-hand Shaiva traditions, agoras, and fringe tantric schools. Surya philosophy. The Surya Sampradaya is an ancient Indian spiritual tradition centered on Surya, the sun god, seen not just as a deity but as the visible face of the supreme reality. For Surya philosophers, the sun is the ultimate symbol of truth, the one light that no darkness can touch, the power that sustains all life, and the cosmic witness to every action. This path teaches that spiritual awakening comes through aligning oneself with Surya's qualities: clarity, discipline, brilliance, energy, and unwavering focus. Dawn worship, sun gazing at safe angles, water offering, arghya, and reciting the Gayatri mantra are seen as ways to absorb the sun's spiritual and physical vitality. Unlike many mystical paths that turn inward, the Surya tradition embraces both physical strength and inner purity. Practitioners believe that a strong body, a sharp mind, and a radiant heart create the perfect vessel for divine consciousness. Truthfulness, cleanliness, and courage are considered essential virtues. Historically, the Surya Sampradaya influenced rulers, warriors, and yogis, forming solar temples across India, from Konark in Odisha to Modhera in Gujarat. Some branches teach that Surya is the original creator, while others view him as the highest manifestation of Vishnu or the supreme cosmic energy itself. Kabir Panth. Kabir Panth is the spiritual tradition based on the teachings of the poet Saint Kabir, one of India's most fearless mystics. Kabir rejected religious labels and exposed the emptiness of ritual, caste, and blind tradition. For him, God was not in temples or mosques. God was in the human heart. Kabir Panth follows this radical simplicity. Its core teaching is, the divine is formless, beyond image, beyond religion, and can be realized only through inner purity and personal truth. Kabir used ordinary language, sharp metaphors, and bold criticism of priests and rituals to remind people that real spirituality is about love, honesty, humility, and constant awareness of the inner self. He taught that the ego is the only barrier between humans and God. Followers of Kabir Panth meditate on the divine name, Ram, sing Kabir's hymns, practice compassion, avoid all forms of discrimination, and try to live a life free from hypocrisy. There is no idol worship, no dogma, no fear-based teachings, only the quest for direct experience of the formless one. Satya Sai. The Satya Sai philosophy is based on the teachings of Satya Sai Baba, a modern Indian spiritual teacher who emphasized love, service, and moral purity above all else. His message was not about joining a religion, it was about transforming your character and seeing the same divine spark in every human being. At the heart of his teaching are the 5 human values: truth, right conduct, peace, love, and non-violence. Sai devotees believe that living by these values naturally leads a person towards spiritual awakening. The philosophy teaches that God is not far away or limited to temples. God is your own inner conscience, the quiet voice guiding you toward compassion and selflessness. A major part of Satya Sai's movement is seva, or selfless service. Followers run schools, hospitals, and humanitarian projects, believing that helping others is the highest form of worship. Meditation, bhajans, devotional songs, moral discipline, and purity of thought are encouraged as ways to cleanse the mind. Unlike ritual-heavy traditions, Satya Sai philosophy focuses on inner transformation, reminding seekers that miracles, powers, and supernatural stories are secondary. The real miracle is a person who chooses to live with love, honesty, and kindness. In simple terms, the Satya Sai path is about becoming a better human being and seeing the divine in everyone, regardless of religion, caste, or background. Smartism. Smartism is a highly flexible and philosophical Hindu tradition that emphasizes unity behind diversity. Instead of worshiping one exclusive deity, Smartism teaches that all major gods are different faces of one supreme reality, Brahman. The tradition was systematized by Adi Shankaracharya, who organized Hindu practice into the Shanmata system, meaning six-fold worship. A Smarta can worship any of these six deities as their personal form of God: Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Ganesha, Surya, Skanda, Kartikeya. But the key idea is that none of them are higher or lower. They are all windows to the same infinite consciousness. Smartism encourages balanced spirituality, meditation, devotional worship, scriptural study, moral living, household discipline, because it is grounded in Advaita-style thinking, without being the same as Vedanta. Smartism teaches that the ultimate truth is formless Brahman, and personal gods are different paths leading to that one reality. Shaiva Siddhanta. This is one of the oldest Shaivite philosophies, and it teaches a simple but powerful idea. The soul is real, the world is real, and Shiva is the supreme reality guiding everything. But the soul is trapped by three bonds: ignorance, ego, and karma, and only Shiva's grace can cut those chains. The path has 4 steps: living righteously, worshiping with devotion, practicing disciplined yoga, and finally gaining true wisdom. It's a tradition that blends deep philosophy with temple rituals, meditation, and heartfelt bhakti. In the end, Shaiva Siddhanta says liberation isn't about escaping the world. It's about purifying yourself, receiving Shiva's grace, and realizing your true nature. The Brahmo Samaj is a 19th century Indian spiritual reform movement founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. It was created to challenge rigid traditions and bring a more rational, modern understanding of God. Brahmo Samaj teaches that the Supreme Being is one, formless, and beyond all images and rituals. Instead of idol worship or elaborate ceremonies, it focuses on simple prayer, moral living, and social responsibility. The movement pushed for major reforms in India, ending harmful customs, promoting women's rights, encouraging education, and fighting caste discrimination. Spiritually, it teaches that true religion is not found in rituals but in truth, character, and a direct relationship with the divine. In short, the Brahmo Samaj blends devotion, reason, and ethics to create a clean, modern vision of God and society. Vedanta. This literally means the end of the Vedas. It doesn't mean the Vedas are finished. It means Vedanta is the ultimate realization that all the Vedic teachings were pointing toward. Where the early Vedas dealt with rituals, sacrifices, and hymns to the gods, Vedanta goes straight into the nature of existence itself. It asks, what is reality? Who am I? What is the ultimate truth behind this world? According to Vedanta, there is only one ultimate reality, Brahman, the infinite, formless, timeless consciousness that underlies everything. Brahman is not a god among gods. It is the source of all gods, the ground of being itself. Every living being carries within it the same essence, known as Atman, the individual self. Vedanta declares that Atman is Brahman. You are not a small separate soul trying to reach God. You are already divine, but caught in illusion. That illusion is called Maya, the cosmic dream that makes the one appear as many. Through Maya, consciousness projects a world of duality, me and you, good and evil, life and death. The tragedy and comedy of human life is that we mistake this projection for the real thing. We identify with the body and mind, forgetting that we are the awareness witnessing it all. The goal of Vedanta is self-realization, to awaken from the dream of separation and realize that your true self has always been infinite, changeless consciousness. When this realization dawns, moksha, liberation is achieved. The cycle of birth and death ends, and you no longer seek heaven or salvation because you found the divine within. Sankhya. Sankhya is one of the most ancient systems of Indian philosophy, a map that tries to explain how the universe came into being. The word Sankhya means to enumerate or to count, because it breaks reality down into a list of 25 principles that explain everything from the unseen spirit to the physical world around us. Basically, Sankhya is a philosophy of dualism. It teaches that there are two eternal realities, Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is pure consciousness, the silent witness, the soul that observes but never acts. Prakriti, on the other hand, is nature itself, the dynamic creative energy that forms everything we see, from thoughts to galaxies. When these two interact, the dance of creation begins. Prakriti contains three forces called the gunas: sattva, which is balance and clarity; rajas, which is activity and passion; and tamas, inertia and darkness. Every being and every experience in life is shaped by these three qualities in different proportions. When rajas dominates, we're restless and driven. When tamas takes over, we're lazy or confused. When sattva rises, we find peace, wisdom, and light. Sankhya doesn't talk about a personal god. Instead, it presents a spiritual science, a way to understand the machinery of existence. Liberation comes when you realize that you are not Prakriti, not the body, mind, or emotions, but the pure Purusha that simply observes them. Nyaya. This is the Indian school of logic, founded by the sage Gautama, also known as Akshapada. While other philosophies focused on meditation, rituals, or cosmic energy, it said, wait, before we talk about truth, let's make sure we know how to think correctly. It's a system built on reasoning, analysis, and the search for knowledge through evidence. The word itself means method or rule, and it teaches that liberation comes not from blind belief or mysticism alone, but from clear understanding. According to this philosophy, ignorance is the root of suffering, and the only way out is true knowledge, knowledge that corresponds to reality and can be verified through logic. It recognizes four valid sources of knowledge: perception or pratyaksha, direct experience through the senses; inference or anumana, logical reasoning, like seeing smoke and knowing there's fire; comparison or apamana, understanding something by relating it to what we already know; verbal testimony or shabda, trusting reliable words such as sacred texts or enlightened teachers. Using these tools, the system developed a highly detailed science of logic and debate, long before Aristotle or Descartes. It explored fallacies, doubt, and argument structure, not to win arguments, but to purify the intellect and bring the seeker closer to truth. Once the mind is clear and free from confusion, the soul naturally perceives reality as it truly is. Even though this philosophy is rational and analytical, it's not anti-spiritual. It believes in a divine creator and moral governor of the universe, but insists that faith without understanding is incomplete. You must know why you believe. Charvaka, also called Lokayata, was the bold materialist school of ancient India. It rejected God's karma, rebirth, and even the soul, claiming that only what can be perceived by the senses is real. Anything beyond direct experience was considered imagination or deceit. For the Charvakas, pleasure and pain were the only realities of life. Since there's no afterlife or spiritual world, they argued that people should live fully and enjoy the present moment rather than fear divine punishment or chase salvation. They believed consciousness ends with the body, and moral laws are human inventions. Though dismissed as heretics by others, the Charvakas played a crucial role in Indian philosophy, forcing spiritual traditions to defend their ideas with reason and evidence, not dogma. Yoga. Yoga isn't just about stretching or breathing exercises, it's a complete philosophy of liberation. Its roots lie in the ancient Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, who lived around the 2nd century BCE. In Sanskrit, yoga means union, the merging of the individual self with the universal consciousness. Where Sankhya explains the structure of reality, yoga gives you the method to experience it directly. Patanjali described yoga as the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind. According to him, our suffering comes from identification with those endless mental ripples, thoughts, emotions, desires, and fears. When the mind becomes quiet, the true self shines through, just as the moon is revealed when clouds drift away. The yoga system outlines an eightfold path, known as the Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, moral restraints like nonviolence, truth, and self-control. Niyama, personal disciplines like purity, contentment, and devotion. Asana, postures that strengthen the body and prepare it for meditation. Pranayama, control of breath, which harmonizes the body's energy. Pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses from external distractions. Dharana, concentration on a single object or idea. Dhyana, meditation, the continuous flow of awareness. Samadhi, complete absorption into pure consciousness, the ultimate goal. Through discipline, meditation, and awareness, yoga aims to dissolve the illusion of separation and bring the practitioner into direct union with the divine essence of existence. Buddhism. Buddhism began with Siddhartha Gautama the Buddha, a prince who renounced his palace life to seek the cause of suffering. After deep meditation, he realized that life's pain comes from attachment and craving. His insight became the Four Noble Truths. Life is suffering. Suffering comes from desire. It can be ended. And the way to end it is through the Eightfold Path. Right understanding, thought, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. Unlike other Indian systems, Buddhism denies a permanent soul. The self, it says, is an illusion, a collection of ever-changing processes called skandhas. Liberation, also known as nirvana, comes when this illusion ends, and the mind becomes free from desire, ignorance, and rebirth. Buddhism's genius lies in its balance. It rejects blind faith and extreme asceticism, offering the middle way, a path of wisdom, ethics, and meditation. Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika is one of the most fascinating schools of Indian thought because it sounds almost scientific, thousands of years before modern physics. Founded by the sage Kanada, its goal was to explain the nature of the physical universe. What is everything made of? The word Vaisheshika comes from Vaishesha, meaning particularity or distinction. This school teaches that reality is composed of individual, eternal atoms, each with unique characteristics that make one object different from another. Vaisheshika divides existence into 7 categories: substance, quality, action, generality, particularity, inherence, and even non-existence. These explain how the universe functions, how things exist, move, and relate to each other. Ajivika. Ajivika was one of the most mysterious and radical schools of ancient Indian thought. Founded by Macaulay Gosala, a contemporary of the Buddha and Mahavira, the Ajivikas believed that everything in existence is completely determined by fate, a cosmic law they called Nyaya. According to Ajivika philosophy, nothing happens by choice, not your actions, not your emotions, not even your enlightenment. Everything unfolds according to a pre-written pattern, like beads sliding on a fixed string. Birth, suffering, joy, death, all are simply stages of a universal mechanism that cannot be altered or escaped. Because of this belief, the Ajivikas denied the power of karma as taught by Hindus and Buddhists. Karma, they said, is an illusion. Our lives don't change because of good or bad deeds, but because destiny makes them so. To them, moral effort was irrelevant. The soul moves through countless rebirths automatically until it reaches its final liberation when the cycle ends by destiny's own design.